Well, I have goosebump. I love this sound. Hello my friends. Welcome to the Berliner Schule Sequencer. What you have heard here is an example of a MIDI sequence that I generated with the Berliner Schule Sequencer, this one here, and then imported and finalized it into FL Studio. The sequence here was generated by this tool. It is an algorithmic music tool designed specifically for generating melodic MIDI sequences in the spirit of 1970s German electronic pioneers like Tangerine Dream, Klaus Schulze and Ashwa Temple. Instead of playing notes manually, you see this is lots and lots of stuff, you set a few parameters and the sequencer creates hypnotic, slowly evolving patterns that balance strict repetition with organic change. When you start to play it, it doesn't really sound really spectacular. The sound comes from the DAW here. This here is just, the sound here is, this here is MIDI preview, that you know what melody is playing. And then you export it, import it, and the magic happens here. I have added here a wonderful pad and some effects here. And that's the sound then. Let's have a closer look here at the surface. The sequence features 5 distinct compositional modes. Classic mode uses a random walk within your chosen scale to create fluid cosmic textures. The Klaus Schulze mode focuses on sparse and long-held notes and drones for a meditative atmosphere. The offbeat anchor keeps every second note at the same level. And the arpeggiator, this is what you have heard here, plays notes up and down. And finally, the motivic builds a short melodic DNA and then applies classical transformations like inversion and retrograde. To get started instantly, you can choose from a library of presets across all modes. These presets are not bound to the modes. They are categorized, but not bound to it. And so you can use a classic preset at an ARP mode too. Next, let's have a look at the core controls here. This is also explained here in the how-to. Can here scroll down and here we have all the parameters explained. But all in all, they should be pretty self-explaining. Beats per minute should be clear. The swing, every second note goes then a bit off. Here you can set the minimum length of a note or the maximum length of a note. And variation controls how much the pattern evolves each time in loops. In the phrase and notes section, you choose your scale and root note, set the phrase length, repeat count, just to show you can go up to 32 or down to 4, and repeats up to 16. The density is how much notes will appear, and the slider here. Here you can set the maximum melodic interval. A low value means that the notes are pretty close to each other, as you can see here in the curve. And when you set a high interval, then the notes can differ dramatically. So a good value is 2 or 3. The screen sliders here doesn't affect the recreation, but when you pick one of these sliders, then the sequence will be recreated. So these are green. You can touch them without to destroy the current sequence. And when you touch one of these, then the sequence will be recreated. There is no undo. This is important to say. Export. We have a MIDI export and we have an evolution export. The MIDI export exports exactly this block here. Let's export it. And you can see it has now the name Berliner Schule. And when you export an evolution export, then the file will be called Berliner Schule Evolution. Let's import these two files by drag and drop. First, the normal generated. And you can see the length is now 5 patterns. And when we drop the evolution file, then we have a much longer sequence here. It is, in this case, there were 8 iterations, so 8 times the length of the normal MIDI export. So for long-form compositions, use the evolution export. This takes your sequence and mutates it across multiple iterations, applying controlled drift and all these settings here. Iterations is how often it is repeated. Mutation and drift tells the MIDI sequence, better said, the evolution, to go away from the original pattern. And grip is what lets it bounce back so that you don't end in a completely dystropic result. The root node switch, usually it will keep the same root node across the whole sequence, but you can tell it to do different. We have here several modes, thirds for example, and then you can tell it every 2 blocks change by a third and jump between these values. Or especially for the Berliner Schule, modal 1 to modal 4. Or also jazz standards to jump between them. So it jumps then in the note height. And this here should be self-explaining. You can choose a random seed for every sequence or a fixed seed for every sequence for these blocks here. For these iterations, better said. That was that. I hope you enjoyed the short overview. All the tools are here to help you generate, shape and export your own cosmic soundscapes. Now go make some music and good luck with your sessions.